Breaking news! Darth Maximus here with some more breaking news. Now, I don't submit to anyone, including the High Council, but I will send them this message and this question, because it's most important, warriors. Did good old Kathleen Kennedy not only ruin the greatest franchise of all time, Star Wars, but Game of Thrones? Or, as an overlord says, Doomcock, Game of Groans. I won't submit to the council, but I will send this question. An important topic! A hot one. Now you might ask, how is that possible? Kathy ruining 2 franchises? How could she do that? Well, I'll explain, and I've had this speculation for a long time, but I waited to make this video till I was absolutely sure, and I'm sure, right down to the Starbucks coffee cup, for Daenerys. And I do blame Kathy, cray-cray, once again. Because this is why you don't get a producer to be in charge of creative decisions. A producer is all about money, deadlines, and making deals. Now, that's not all bad, but the way Kathy does it, she wreaks havoc and doesn't care about the consequences. Now, how do I know this? How do I know Kathy caused the problem with not only ruining Star Wars, but Game of Thrones? She swooped in before Game of Thrones was ready to conclude to snatch one of the hottest producers of a series. Now, you may not like them, but they're hot in Hollywood right now, and she snatched them away before the conclusion of Game of Thrones was ready, and they rushed it to fulfill a contract to start a new one. How do I come by this speculation? Well, I'm a 30-plus year veteran of the movie industry from my couch. And I know when you're a made man or made men at a studio, you don't jump ship unless there's a reason. That Disney money, she swooped in, flashed the Disney money, and they couldn't resist. Couldn't resist. Oh, Kira, Daenerys, you have a part to play in this too. That was her end. Solo comes back to haunt the fandom once more. You see, Kathy is, with her only talent, producing and money and making deals and pushing projects before they're ready when they're half-baked. Do you eat half-baked meal? I don't. So the other biggest reason that they jumped ship, and that's a story. It's one of the biggest stories in franchise film or series film making in the last few years, is the D.B. Weiss and David Benioff jumping ship from HBO to Disney. It's a big story, and when you look at the reason, this is the other reason. The boycott worked. That's the reason there's not a film to 2022. But this is the other reason. The D.B. Weiss and David Benioff, big paycheck to have them jump ship from HBO to Star Wars and Disney Plus. And as you can see by Game of Groans, it's very underdeveloped and half-baked. It could have used another year in production to get it right. To reward all the fans. The fandom is failed once again. Reward all the fans for all those years they put into supporting this property. So, right when Kathy was getting exposed for all her failures, her first false starts and farts with all the projects she doesn't get going, and then when they finish, their farts and lay a stank on the Star Wars franchise. She needed another headline, and she got it. And she got it at the expense of not only Star Wars fans, but Game of Thrones fans. And you're seeing the results of that now. Things that are happening now that you see on your favorite franchise are the results of failures made years ago. And this all happened right when Solo was in turmoil. She needed that headline, and she got it. And then Star Wars, Disney Star Wars, is on a deadline. And they don't care about quality, only release dates. So answer me this, warriors and viewers. Future warriors, join me. Do you honestly think it's a coincidence that there's 2 episodes left of Game of Thrones? That fandom isn't now in turmoil. And today, they announce the next Star Wars film with D.B. Weiss and David Benioff for 2022. They rushed to fulfill their agreement to HBO to start Star Wars for that Disney money. They're also to blame. Now, regardless of what you think of D.B. Weiss and David Benioff, they're considered talent in Hollywood. And Kathy sniped them and left disaster in its wake, just like Star Wars. So I do put a major blame on Kathleen Kennedy, and her disease is spreading for what's left of Hollywood. Disney is a bully, and they wreak havoc. They snipe what they call talent, and they cause problems for all other projects. You see how damaging Disney can be? You see how damaging Kathy could be. Letting Kathy run loose at Lucasfilm in Disney is causing ripple effects beyond just Lucasfilm. It's causing a disaster all across the board. When quality projects are being made elsewhere, she snipes, they snipe, they take, and they take. They've ruined the movie industry. There's only one player in town now. Next is streaming. Do you see how important this fight is, warriors? The war clock is coming, and you need to jump on board. And you need to stay away and not reward such damaging effects of McDisney. Factory-produced films on a deadline with a release date. That's all they care about. Fix it as we go. Patch it together at the end. Is the director talented? No! Start filming, and then we'll pull in a veteran at the end to fix our mistakes. That's how we got there. Have you seen the decline in even special effects? It's done on a budget, reduced budget, and that money is pumped into the marketing because marketing works, because you have Shills, Rotten Tomatoes, and all the rest, and all the social media influencers you need with their lips perked, ready to kiss your ass. Oh, warriors, I want to hear from you. Answer these questions in the comments below. Let me know. Do you think D.B. Weiss and David Benioff were sniped away from HBO before Game of Thrones was ready to be sent off? It was half-baked, and they're damaging the franchise to jump onto their next money train, the Disney Star Wars money train. And Kathy flashed her bills. And that's what caused the damage. Because I believe it, Game of Thrones has some major issues right now. Maybe the lighting. Maybe the Starbucks cup. Maybe the Mary Sue characters that fly out of nowhere. But to me, I think there were enough elements there to have a satisfying ending if it weren't interfered by a crazy Kathleen Kennedy. With all her meddling that a producer does with money and influence and promises of the Star Wars and Disney train. Which for people in Hollywood is all it takes. They sacrifice everything, including the fandom's beloved property. So tell me what you think about this topic. I've waited to do it. I've thought for a long time, but I wanted to be sure. And after the recent few episodes of Game of Thrones, in an Overlord's video about Game of Groans, I decided to make this one. So shout out to Doomcock, and I'll put a link in the description. I think this is one of the most important topics of the day right now. Did Kathleen Kennedy not only ruin Star Wars, but Game of Thrones? And what's next? As she snatches headlines like stones for an Infinity Gauntlet. To snap away quality. To ruin the movie industry. And now take on streaming. I'll see you in the next one. And by the way, now that I'm wearing one of my many faces, Darth Maximus, I don't need this one today. Kathy, by the way, that's my name of my bat there, because she destroys everything. I'm going to think about you, Kathy, and I'm on my way for you.